But the first video that we're gonna watch is this one, and it just dropped like an hour ago, so it's only got like 1,000 views on it. But it's interesting to me mainly because this past week there was the whole the let's just say all the shit that's going down in Afghanistan. And on their show last week on the podcast, they had their obvious like criticisms of they had the criticisms of Joe Biden and how he's handled the removing of the troops, all this fun stuff, and the downplaying to the extent that Trump did terrible stuff. Anyways, a whole bunch of shit, okay? And so they had those lines, which are your typical Fox News Republican viewpoints. But they didn't say much about the taking in of refugees. They kind of just avoided that topic altogether. We clearly here support the taking of refugees, as many as we can, bring them in. I think that's our position on this podcast. At least for me, I'm pretty sure Vieto as well. But Vieto could speak to that if they want to.
Sorry, I got distracted by chat and
I was just going to say,
in chat because he got... Oh, the limit is only 8 symbols. Okay, I'm boosting that. You're good.
Interesting. No, I was just saying...
Yeah, he got his message deleted.
We support
26 is now the
refugees.
limit for symbols.
Weird. That is weird.
Okay. It has been changed.
I was just saying, we as a podcast support bringing in as many Afghan refugees as we can. I think it's...
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's where we stand. So here, there's an interesting, I guess, conflict within the conservative brain right now, which is fascinating to me. And that is this idea of you want to point out, like, I think what's coming into conflict is the sort of rationale in their brains for why we went to that war. Was this idea of somehow we're there to eliminate the terrorists and then help the Afghan people. Like, obviously, I don't think this is correct, but like this is like the lie they tell themselves, okay? So then they're put in this position where you would assume that what that means is that we should, now that the Taliban is retaking Afghanistan, and there's also ISIS and other Islamic extremist organizations that are doing shit there. There was the recent attack yesterday, was it? Or 2 days ago? I can't remember now.
Yesterday.
So what that does is it leaves them in a position where they're also anti-refugee, anti-immigrant, and all that shit. But like, what stance are they going to take here? Because if they want to criticize the government, like Trudeau or in America Biden, but they also have this like anti-immigration stance. So like, how do you like balance this thing? And so this video just dropped, and it strikes me as it seems like it's going to be pro refugee and pro immigrant from Afghanistan, which is not a take that you hear that often on Rebel News. In fact, I'll even say they interviewed Maxime Bernier, and I want to cover Maxime Bernier as little as possible. I think I will focus on him when he does anything like egregious and they cover it, like he says something really ridiculous. But most of what he's running on is what he ran on last year, which is against what he calls mass immigration. So he was just on Andrew Chapados' show, just talking. So Maxime and Andrew were chatting it up, and he responding to Andrew asking if he was a racist, because he's like, people call you a racist. Maxime Bernier was like, I'm not racist, I'm just against mass immigration. And then he accuses every other party being for mass immigration because they just want votes. That's the argument that he made, right? So now we get to this, where you have these people, they seem to be people with family in Afghanistan protesting outside of a liberal office. So again, they hate the liberals, so they approve of the protest. But let's see to what extent David Menzies gestures that they're okay with it, even though they platform Maxime Bernier, who is against it.
Can you share it with me in chat?
Yes, and before I play it, I have one more just like thought to put out there before we watch it, which is there's another party in Alberta. I think they're called the Maverick Party. And I haven't really followed them to understand fully what their positions are. My guess is they're a conservative party, and I think they're like quasi for separatism, like an Alberta kind of separatist party. And I don't even know if this person is the leader, but they had on this dude who's at least an MP for this party, or he's a candidate for an MP for this party, named Tariq something or other, okay? And the thing that was interesting is Tariq, who just recently became a Canadian citizen, was arguing in this video that taking on immigrants, including Afghanistan or Afghan immigrants, is really a ploy by the Liberal and other parties to increase their voting base. And I'm like, but Tariq, who's also from the Middle East, he admits so in the interview, is also an immigrant who got his citizenship and is clearly like a far-right conservative. You know? Which is like, it blows my mind that they think that somehow any immigrant coming in is automatically going to support the center or left parties, which is just not how this works. It's never worked that way. And it's such a weird, bizarre talking point. And yet that seems to be the go-to one, is that somehow all these immigrants coming in, it's all to help, I guess, get the Liberals and NDP votes. But we will watch this video now and see what David Menzies has to say here. Might wanna, I'm gonna skip it.
Hello, sexy people. I subbed to Jody, and so should you. Plug, but plug also go NDP Canada. You can do it. Have a great show, Jody.
I love that you subtly slid in butt plug there, but thank you, Nick. Thank you for the subscription. Thank you for subscribing for 6 months, in fact. That is very based and cool. So thank you. And yes, go NDP Canada. Correct. Don't tell this person about the conservative mainland China emigres that vote Tory. Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of immigrants vote Tory. It's just so silly. If right-wingers weren't so anti-immigrant, they would probably get more of their votes this minute. Exactly. 100%, you guys. 100%. All right. Here we go.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in Toronto. Well, folks, members of Toronto's Afghan community are staging a protest outside of Marco Mendicino's office. Now, Marco Mendicino, he is the Minister of Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship. He is either hiding in his office or he's AWOL. I'm not entirely sure yet. But certainly our hearts go out to these Afghans. Some of them are actual family members of interpreters and their families stuck behind enemy lines, if you will, in Afghanistan. Some of the more profound signs, like this one here, says it all. We helped you, you help us. But what's happening in Afghanistan right now, it's beyond a fiasco. It's a humanitarian crisis, and even worse, it is a crisis that never should have been allowed to happen in the first place. So
I will pause there. Again, it's going to be weird, because I'm somewhat sympathetic to the things that David Menzies is saying.
Yeah, what the fuck?
I will say, though, I mean, the question about, like, how did we get here in the first place? My guess, like, this is where it's like, well, I don't know, David Menzies. You work for Rebel News that has been anti-Islam and promoted the war on terror for your tenure. So it's like, how did we get here? For people who popularized these wars in the first place, which was Ezra and you even before you formed Rebel News. So there is a sort of lack of self-reflection here, but to the extent that you want to help people that help the Canadian military were there and you don't want them to be killed by the Taliban, cool. Thank you for having a modicum of concern for the human rights of others. Guess I'll take it where we can get it, you know?
Yeah, it's very confusing.
Yeah. Aren't they North Americans? Whatever, I'll ignore this person.
These members of the Afghan community, they are protesting outside Marco's office. I doubt he'll give them the time of day, but we'll, after the protest is over, talk to some of these demonstrators and find out how bad the situation is in Afghanistan and what can be done to remedy it, because right now it seems that what's holding so many of these people back from a safe harbor is red tape and documentation. It is outrageous because
they're like, oh my god. It's so weird when you catch them in a moment where they're saying like the good things. It's like, yeah, why do we have this red tape, David? Like, if anything, the red tape exists because of the anti-immigrant sentiment that organizations like Rebel News like inspired, you know?
Yeah, this is just a very confusing video so far.
Even the comments aren't clear to me.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, these
I mean, there's a couple that are definitely anti-immigrant, but
yeah, I'm trying to see if there's any comment. Like, most of them just seem confused. None of them are. They came up with a new pun for Justin Trudeau's name. So we got Treason Doe.
Sure, why not?
Says, thanks for the votes, Afghans. We are done with you now. On to China. Like, it's so, like, even the comments are confused. Yeah, like, I don't know.
Afghan interpreters.
Oh, here we got a
can't
racist comment.
Vote.
You notice there's no women protesting in front of Marco's office.
Yeah. PPC is our only hope.
Yeah.
Huh?
I know. The one party that is like against taking in any of the Afghan refugees, they're the ones who are our only hope. When David Menzies is saying we need to bring more in, it's very weird. It's very
yeah,
very weird. It's an immigration Ouroboros. Very weird. All right.
This, folks, is literally a matter of life and death.
Our family lives matter. His Excellency, Mr. Minister Marco must rethink about what he already did. First of all, they put our extended families under the special program. And after a week, they updated that. We were expecting something, a good news, but what happened is they took that extended family out from their special program. We don't understand. Is it a political game with us? Or we don't want our families to be the victim of the upcoming elections in the political game. Listen, can you explain this to us, Mr. Minister? Why?
What does the weed? There's a weed sign? I did not see a weed sign.
It said need to provide, and the N looks vaguely like a W.
Oh, okay. Please provide
It's
immediate,
right behind the speaker right now.
immediate evacuation for our extended family members before they get killed. I mean, the other interesting thing is, because so far David has framed it in terms of the interpreters, and they're clearly calling for not just interpreters, but also their family members. So, let's see to what extent, how far David's outreach will get. We'll see if that's a point of contention.
Why you took that out? We do demand, we do see the windows are open, because it's all because you want to listen to us. You want to him.
So does it say weed to provide safe haven?
No, it says need.
Oh,
provide.
need to provide. Okay. All right. Yeah, I was very confused. Very weird.
Hear what we are demanding. All what we are
Okay.
demanding is justice. All we want is all what we want is all what we want is
What is your name, sir?
Farhad.
Farhad?
Yes.
Okay, then. And Farhad, quite a passionate demonstration here today. Did the minister, Marco Mendicino, or any of his staff come out and address you?
And nothing. They never opened the door. I think they're inside. They never show up. They never came out to talk to us, to hear our issue, to resolve the matter that we have right now in Afghanistan right now.
That's shameful because he is the minister in charge of this file. You know, the way I look at this is that not only is this a tragedy,
When is
but
this
it's an
video
unnecessary tragedy.
Pardon?
When is this video from?
When is this video from?
Yeah. Like after the election was called. Oh yeah, I mean, obviously after the election was called.
Yeah,
Are they
it
still
could've been-
technically ministers?
It could have been today.
How does that
or
part
yesterday.
work?
Well, technically, I mean, like, my guess is maybe they maintain the role until the next,
Yeah.
I don't know how that works either, to be honest.
Because like technically there are no sitting members of parliament anymore, right? Like
I guess the
parliament is
government-
disbanded.
Right, but the government still needs to function, I guess, until they
Yeah.
sit the next.
I mean-
House of Commons.
Function.
Well, like, in
much as it
case they
does
need to
matter.
make, like, executive decisions like evacuating people here, right? Like, there won't be any votes in Parliament.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, that makes sense.
This didn't have to play out like it has. What was the government thinking in terms of not getting the interpreters and their families back to safety weeks or even months ago?
I think they never set up a solid system in the beginning. Like they came up with and this situation, they came up with a passport, they came up with a COVID vaccine card. In Afghanistan, you cannot imagine the hospital is closed. The passport department is closed. In the beginning, before the Afghanistan collapsed completely, about a week or so ago, and then right now they said, oh, we will remove the passport restriction, we will remove the vaccine restriction after everything collapsed.
So this is literally a matter of life and death in
Yeah.
Afghanistan, and our government, Ottawa, they're more concerned with the paperwork, they're more concerned with the
Yeah,
red
this is
tape
so
than
fascinating to me.
actually saving human beings.
They can
Like, wow, David.
Wow.
You normally don't get it, but you kind of get it here. This is so fucking weird.
Just the framing of it as just like saving human beings, not of immigration, not of refugees, like just saving humans.
And the acknowledgement that
David, what the fuck?
and
Like,
the acknowledgement that they're putting red tape, like they care more about filing the paperwork than just bringing in as many people as possible. You know what I mean? Like there's like
yeah.
such a weird disconnect. Nam said
David Menzies has been a secret communist
Yeah.
this whole time.
open borders Menzies. If it's a constituency office. The thing is, I don't think this is a constituency office, in particular because they have the signs. They normally will not have the campaign signs on a constituency office. So I do believe this is the campaign office. If I had to venture a guess. Is this connecting with our audience? I mean, it just went up. So like maybe I should check in on it in a couple days and see if what the comments are like. But so far, like the like to dislike ratio is more in favor of likes, but that could just be their audience just naturally like liking their videos. But it's only got like 1,000 views, so I don't know. Very, very, very weird. But as I like when I framed it at the beginning, like this is kind of like the tension that exists in the conservative movement right now. Like I don't know if they are going to react to this negatively because they see it as like it's framed right now in their minds as like a liberal or a democratic failure in what's going on in Afghanistan. I think that framing is a bit weird, considering that like this would have been inevitable no matter who pulled out of Afghanistan. But like it's almost like they're taking advantage of the fact that this makes the liberals look bad, which is why again it's a protest outside of a liberal office, and they're covering it. And it strikes me that like they're trying to take advantage of the anti-Trudeau sentiment rather than favoring the Afghanistan people. But then at the same time, like the optics of this make them look like way more open borders than they are, because they're definitely not. The through line of Rebel News is completely closed borders, anti-borders, or closed borders. Don't let any immigrants in. We need to have them assimilate immediately. That kind of stuff. I mean, it's cool they aren't worrying about screening for terrorism, which is usually their main opposition excuse. Yeah, no, exactly. That's the thing, is because if he wants to get rid of things like the passports, the paperwork, the red tape, like their reasons for having that in the first place, which is usually advocated by people like Menzies and Rebel News, is to prevent. And you know what? It just hit me when we did the episode, Vienno, on the what was it, the council against anti-Muslim bigotry. They in the NCCM's recommendations, that's the National Council of Muslims. I can't remember what
National Council of Canadian Muslims.
Right, Canadian. Yeah, they had in their platform during the summit to say that what we need to do is sort of to like ease some of this like red tape in the borders to allow like so that we're not like hurting these people while they emigrate compared to like other countries, right? And so and Ezra on his show was like super against that and said like that's you trying to create open borders and letting terrorists into the country. So like that was only like a week or two ago, you know? It's so weird.
I wonder both how long this kind of like pro-Afghan refugee thing will last, and also how much it ties into their status as kind of like collaborators with the Canadian military. Because it's interesting, because like even when they were part of the military, like there are the reports coming out lately of like how poorly Canada treated their interpreters while in Afghanistan, because they were always like some level like suspected of still being terrorists or something. So like they would be forced to come with them on like military patrols despite generally not being actually military people, just people who are able to interpret, and like, you know, saying like, no, you can't stay here, or like, yes, it's fine that like the commander like stole your phone or whatever because you're Afghan, so like you could be a terrorist sympathizer or whatever. So like it's not as if like our military was like, oh yeah, we're so supportive of them either. Yeah. Like even while the Canadian military was like part of the occupation of Afghanistan, but like now, because it relates to the military, they're kind of like,
yeah,
like yeah.
I said that earlier too. Like I
don't know.
Like I do wonder if because like he hasn't been too clear about it, but I pointed out that some of their sides talked about their families, and I don't know if any of these people were interpreters or not. Like these people could just be people who immigrated within the last 10 years or so and want their families to continue the immigration process, right? It almost like might not have anything to do with the interpreters that help the military, you know? So there's like this weird dynamic where like David Menzies hasn't made this distinction clear to just let everyone in. And it's probably his framing so far has been the interpreters. But like I don't think they're really at play with this protest right now. It's supposed to be for anyone in Afghanistan, is my guess with what these protesters are saying. I don't know. We'll find out, I guess. We'll see if things change.
I don't know. Like there have been CBC articles and stuff talking about like interpreters that were allowed to move to Canada like a while ago and trying to bring their families over and stuff like that, and how their families are at risk because of the interpreter status as a interpreter. Like
no, like I don't doubt that they could be, but they could just be refugees who,
I mean,
like, yeah. We don't know that.
We
We're not.
have a friend who is a just regular immigrant from Afghanistan that, like, you know, her family's stuck. Like,
Yeah. So let's see. Let's see if where David is going to take it. But the one thing that I could appreciate this is at least we're getting to hear from these people. Like, this is it's way better than hearing from the fucking anti-vaxxers and shit, you know? I'd rather hear these people.
Can save life in the beginning, but they can't process the paperwork, do the documentation.
So why isn't this fast-tracked? Why can't Prime Minister Trudeau take one day off campaigning in this election, make all the necessary phone calls, and get something tangibly done to help Afghans?
I have no idea. You have to ask Justin Trudeau regarding this matter, you know? Yeah. It's his decision and the immigration minister decision. There was the news, it was like a broadcast today in Afghanistan, that the Taliban, the terrorists in Afghanistan, they captured one of the translator's brother. They're going to hang him in the public. You can see how dangerous it is in Afghanistan.
Unbelievable. And speaking of brother...
The only reason was that his brother worked for the American forces in Afghanistan.
And that's a death sentence for him.
Death sentence.
Unbelievable. What do you make today, sir? Maryam Monsef, the Minister of Women's Affairs, actually referred to members of the Taliban as brothers. I mean, I think it's shocking. I think these people are terrorists.
Okay, we're going to see the clip. But
we pause?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, one, she's the only Afghan Canadian member of parliament. Her family, like, she still has family in Afghanistan. Like, she's referring to them as brothers because that is, you know, what you do culturally. Like, it's a recognition at some level of, like, yeah, these are also people, and also just like they are also Muslim. Like, the far right is kind of like playing with this wording is just so fucking stupid and xenophobic. And now we're getting into Menzies being Menzies here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I was gonna say it's complicated. I mean, if I put myself into the context of having, I guess, more far right movements in my country, I personally would not refer to them as brothers. You know, the but yeah, I guess
you
it's
aren't
a cultural
Afghan.
Context
you aren't Muslim either.
Yeah.
Like Mo said, like, it's brothers in Islam.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
that.
You refer to another Muslim who is a man as a brother. You refer to a woman as a sister. Like,
no, I guess
I would
like,
just say sibling, though. But
I have heard Christians make a similar statement, like being on different political spectrums, but somehow they're still my brother in this religion or whatever. I guess I just don't have any of that, you know. For me, I'm like, fuck the far right people, you know. But yeah, no, fair enough. Let's hear what she says, and then see how the guy responds. I don't know. We'll see.
I want to take this opportunity to speak to our brothers, the Taliban. We call on you to ensure the safe and secure passage of any individual in Afghanistan out of the country.
Like, already, I'm just like, the context there is so clear.
yeah.
Like, even in the tone in which it's delivered, it's not at all the way David Menzies framed that. It was almost like, I can't think of the right word. Like, condescending's not right, but it's almost like, come on, brothers. Do what's right. You know what I mean? Like, rather than, like, you're my brother, you know?
But,
like,
and also, like, you are making a request of them. You be respectful in whatever way is most appropriate.
Yeah.
Like,
wow, that was even sillier than I was imagining.
yeah.
It's like, yeah.
You know, what do you make of those comments by Maryam Monsef?
People who are killing another human being, people who are killing another brothers, another sisters, their elders, they're not brothers. No.
Well, sir, I hope things turn out well. If you had the ear of the Prime Minister right now...
No, I feel bad because, again, given the context David gave to him, Yeah, sure. But if you watch the clip, yeah. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, like he's voicing kind of my opinion. You know what I mean? It's like I would, even though no matter what identifiers connect me to like right wing fascists in Canada, I would never call them my brothers. But yeah, that's not quite the way that the MP used brother.
Now,
Yeah.
what would you tell Justin Trudeau to fix this terrible situation?
They have to fast track this process. They have to accelerate this process. They have to save our parents' life. Bring them to a different country. Put them in a safety zone. Put them like another area before the process and bring them to Canada. They can filter them later on.
Thank you so much, and good luck with your family members.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you. Well, folks, I'm with Ahmad Schwaib, and Ahmad just gave a passionate speech about the humanitarian crisis, there's no other word for it, that's going on in Afghanistan. And Ahmad, I mean, I think this is a double tragedy. First of all, the people that are still stuck in Afghanistan.
I do wonder too if you can't see it on the stream right now, but this dude is wearing a shirt that says "Hockey is Canada's game." Okay, and so I wonder if just having
Hell yeah.
having him alone appeals to the Conservatives because they're like, this person's officially assimilated. They recognize Canada's national sport. I don't know. I just thought that was a funny shirt to be wearing.
And secondly, as far as I can tell, this fiasco should never have happened in the first place. This should have been dealt with weeks ago, months ago, to get all of our allies, all of these interpreters back to Canada. How did the government drop the ball so badly on this?
Thank you so much for giving me this platform. Actually, we are totally confused because, first of all, after our rally in Ottawa, they did add extended families, but after next 1 week, they did take that out from their updates because next update, there was nothing new, but they took that out. And this is...
And why did they do that?
They did it for their own cause, which we don't know yet, because when they take something out, that stresses us out. Nobody says why. And we do want an answer for this, why they took it out of it. Why not? If our lives matter and they brought our families here, why not our families? Our families are parts of our bodies. If one of our family loses their life, that means we will be going through psychological and emotional trauma forever, and we will be struggling forever here.
I do want to pause there too, and like, yes, everything that guy was saying, 100%. But it's like amazing because one of the arguments that like Rebel has made before is this like idea of chain migration, and them like bringing their families with them, which is like why I was like highlighting. They're framing it in terms of the like interpreters and stuff like this, but really these people are asking to bring their families along, right?
Yeah.
It's just interesting. And here we're getting the repetition strategy as they're going to play this clip of the Liberal MP saying the brothers line again. It's my guess.
I want to take this opportunity to speak to our brothers, the Taliban.
In her answer in the news, I was listening live to her. When she was asked why you call Taliban your brothers, she said, this is part of my culture. Maryam Munsif, come on. I am from the same country. Only 10 years I'm here. That's not part of my culture. I don't call them brother. How comes I call them brother? There is no reason I call them brother. And that is absolutely not part of my culture. Where did it come? I don't know. I did my family application for my wife, for my spouse 4 years ago. It's not 1, 2, 3, or this is 4 years. And the last thing they were asking me, police certificate from Afghanistan. Are you kidding me? Do you want me to take a police certificate from the Taliban?
On Saturday, I was at a meet and greet for...
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel the frustration with the Liberal government. Like, I 100% feel where this person is coming from.
Yeah. Asking for, like... Yeah, asking for like police certificate is just so wild when like
Yeah.
half the time those police are busy, fighting the Taliban. Like, I don't know, it's just very like, huh? What?
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know. I don't know.
the whole thing's just fucked up. But again, like it's I'm just still here like stunned out of my mind of like, yeah, like we shouldn't have this many impediments to bringing these people's family to this country, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
and it's like again, like the reason why we have those impediments is because there's people like David Menzies and Rebel News that have been like their whole career has been anti-immigration, specifically anti-Muslim immigration, which is what's going on here, right? Like it's such a weird turn, a face turn of some kind. It's just so weird. And like, hey, there's a part of me where it's like maybe it's good that some of their audience is getting some of these stories. It's kind of like shitty that they're like splicing in that clip of the Liberal MP and like having them respond to the brother comment or whatever. Like so far, that's been the shittiest thread in this piece. But like beyond that, like their audience is, if they end up clicking and watching this, is going to get exposed to people like talking about how the immigration system is fucked up and not letting their relatives in. And who knows? Maybe that's good for them to hear. I don't know if it'll have an effect at all, but.
The Richmond Hill Liberal MP Majid Johari. This is a man, believe it or not, who supports the Iranian regime. And he was bragging to me on camera about how the government was doing so well in terms of evacuating Afghan translators. Why don't we throw to that clip right now? Pleased with what's happened in Afghanistan, given that this plays into the hands of the Iranian regime?
I don't know about that, but I'm not pleased what has happened in Afghanistan. Proud of our government for supporting bringing 20,000 Afghanis and all the people who have helped us over the last 20 years with the translation and support at the embassy.
So there's Majid Johari actually saying this has been a success story for Canada, getting Afghan translators out of the country. How is he so deluded, or is this just an outright lie on his behalf?
I'll just pause it really quickly to notice that he's still framing this in terms of the interpreters, right? I just wanted to highlight that. So far, all we've gotten from Menzies is mostly the interpreter angle.
It's not a diss or no disrespect to any news, but back home we say when people are bluffing like that, we say they're listening to Fox News a lot.
I think Justin Trudeau...
Oh my god.
What?
And they played that. They didn't cut that out.
And it cut like right after it. Like, what was the cut right after? They listened to...
Maybe he said something more. Like,
there's so much going on in that answer alone. I don't even know how to disentangle this. Because Fox News has been incredibly anti-immigrant, so they don't want any of the. I mean, Tucker Carlson has been like so directly against taking any of these Afghan refugees, and yet, I guess he's saying it's bluffing, so it's Fox News. I have no fucking clue what happened.
yeah, I don't know.
Very weird. Very weird.
He can take a day off campaigning, make the phone calls, talk to the influencers, get something done, because, again, it is a matter of life and death.
That's so correct, and I'm fully on what you said. I'm on your side on that, because for Justin Trudeau, all it takes is maximum of 1 hour to make calls to those specific people and ask them. But for us, for our family, what it takes is their lives. Because our work that we did in support of the Canadian forces, that now our families are in jeopardized because of our work, and we do not want that. We do not want to lose any member of our families. We want them safe and sound to Canada as we came here.
Ahmad, good luck.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
If anyone, especially Mr. Minister, if you feel us, please, very kindly I ask you, please bring a change in this special program and we do give you options. Please, it's not that if our family, one or two of our family members lose their life, we won't be who we are right now. And right now we are not who you see the others around walking on the street. They're living a peaceful life. Mentally, we are not at peace. Mentally, we are struggling. Every day, we're going to sleep, we're panicking. We are thinking about our families. We're looking at their pictures, and we are going to sleep in the hope that we wake up tomorrow morning and they are still alive. Because we know this risk is serious. And nobody knows when Taliban will go knock our door and they find out that this is one of the interpreters' house. We don't know that. So all what we know is we want justice.
I am stunned that they played that full speech at the end there. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And
what is going on?
Ahmed, good luck indeed. And like, yeah, holy shit.
It's Ahmed.
Sorry, well, I cannot do that.
There's no ka sound. Like there's no.
So say that again. Ahmed.
Like think like
Ahmed.
home.
Okay.
The
okay.
H in like home. Like Ahmed.
Ahmed. Better?
That's better.
Okay.
It's better. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Ahmed would. Yeah.
Listen,
I think I got caught up in your A's there, but yeah. Anyways.
Is Menzies
intentionally obtuse that the bureaucracy does not work like that and is structured to prevent political influence as he seems to be talking about? He seems to be advocating for some sort of backroom deal. I wonder how much power they have to kind of like waive restrictions in the case of like certain refugee things, because presumably they did that when they brought in like as many Syrian refugees as they did in like 2015 and 16 and 17. Like,
did they have to pass
presumably
anything to do that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's
question.
difficult because I don't know enough about the Canadian immigration system to really like talk on the specifics, especially on like the bureaucratic side.
I'm sure there's something that they could do with the executive power to, even as they suggested, like have a place to like move them for now kind of thing and process them. Like there's probably some maneuvering they can do. So I don't know. I'll just say that I am again, like we had issues with some of this and how David reported it, but it was still just kind of like, I don't know, like I don't think that it will. I mean, people who are on the far right who are anti-immigrant, like this isn't going to appeal to them, but like I'm just surprised. Like I was moved by him at the end there, and it's like, how could you not be like both like moved by him and then how could you not realize then the implications of this, which is like, yeah, these people are human. They have family members over there. Like they care about their family members. We should be doing everything we can to facilitate them getting to this country. I don't know. Weird posturing for Rebel News. I don't get it.
Weird times we are in.
Yeah.
Hello, my rebels. Hello, my rebels. I'm a good boy. I'm a weirdo.